Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Save As Ability. It's David D'Arcangelo. Great to be back with you. We're doing a little bit of a follow-up here. Early on, I think we're on like our 120th episode or something like that now. And I want to say maybe around like episode 30 or 40 or something, we had done an episode on the meritocracy and how I believe that's so important for people with disabilities and how, in the ADA, it says you must be able to do the essential job duties, the essential functions of the job. And that's important for people with disabilities, right? So we had done a whole episode on that. This is a little bit of like a part 2 to that, I think. And the reason why this is coming up now is because, if you're on social media at all and you're looking around, I think a lot of people get frustrated by what they see, right? And so that's what this is about today, all right? So to me, America works best when talent matters, right? People with disabilities matter, and the effort matters, character matters. All of these things matter, and our system and people rise on the strength of what they're able to do with their talents and abilities and all that, okay? This is the American dream. This is the meritocracy. Okay. And we've talked about it before, but that's what we're talking about here today. So, however, there's some very visible examples that have come to light recently, particularly again on social media where people are accessing it. And it seems to contradict what should be the bedrock of our country. And it's really like a larger issue of trust and this trust erosion. And so we're looking at it in terms of disability, like employment and the talent of people with disabilities. So this is where disability can once again lead the way. Disability is one of the clearest lenses for our economy. And it's the easiest test, I guess, for our economy to be able to tell if we're fully maximizing the talent in our workforce or not. Okay. And, as you know how we feel here, too often people with disabilities are being overlooked or undervalued in the economy. Let's go to the data. All right, in 2025, roughly 23% of Americans with disabilities were employed. And if you compare that to the 66% of Americans without disabilities, you'll see the gap that we always talk about, okay? The employment rate for Americans with disabilities was about 8%, and you compare that with about 4% for Americans without disabilities. So once again, a gap. One more data point. The Fed has reported that around 58% of all working age people with disabilities said that they were doing okay or living comfortably financially. And you compare that with the 78% number of adults without disabilities. So again, a disparity. Why do I say that? I say that because when you look at these numbers, I don't view that as a failure of Americans. We're optimistic here at Save As Ability. You know us. But these numbers do tell me that America is sitting on a tremendous amount of untapped talent and strength. And we've talked about that large pool. These numbers tell me that our economy is still leaving too much talent on the sidelines. And a strong free market economy is never comfortable with squandering talent. Our human capital, the people of America, is our greatest natural resource. It's what makes America, America, right? So most success in America is real, and it's arrived at by a combination of hard work, talent, risk that each American displays on a day-to-day basis. Day in and day out, people wake up early to take a bus or a train or get in their car, go to work, put in time. We value that, okay? But most people who advance do so because of this hard work and their skills and their sacrifices. And, they're working hard to earn that success. That is true for most Americans. I still believe that. And it matters. It's worth defending. That's the meritocracy too. All right. However, I also believe that the public sees a growing set of high profile instances and visible exceptions where they see insider preference. Just take a look at social media and you can see the angst that far too many Americans, and particularly Americans who are seeking jobs, people who mid-career get laid off and now they're looking to get back in and they're on the sidelines and they see these high profile examples and they're really frustrated by it, and justifiably so. It makes it seem like our system isn't trustworthy and undermines the value of our system. It undermines the meritocracy. So whether it's the high profile examples of insider trading or, perceived inherited access to opportunities or a perceived two-tiered system of justice. When the public sees this favoritism in high places, it's bad for our system. And it really is a turnoff. And it makes it seem like everybody's like that. And you're lumping in, one bad apple is spoiling the whole bunch, like that type of thing. I mean, the meritocracy still works, but this is putting chinks in that armor. Okay. So when people see these expectations often enough, they begin to doubt the rule itself. And that's a problem. This is bad for trust. It erodes trust, which we've had previous episodes on that. My contention right now in America, one of the largest challenges we have is this trust deficit, particularly in these larger institutions, whether it be government, whether it be these other sectors or industries. All right. So when this happens, it's bad for confidence. It's bad for our free market system, by the way, and it undermines the American dream is maybe the larger point that we're driving at here. Our system works best when people believe the system is fair, open, dynamic, and worth striving in, worth toiling in, worth taking risk in. All right. So let me be clear. Connections are not automatically corrupt. Okay. Networks are part of how markets work. It's part of how you get a job. And just as information moves through people, trust moves through these relationships. Okay. And employment, particularly, you look at referrals. Referrals help employers find workers and help workers find openings, right? The Philadelphia Fed did a nice report, and it indicated that referrals are used at some point in the hiring process for about 1/2 of all U.S. job seekers, okay? So that's fine. I think people accept that. However, when it goes to these extremes or when it's perceived to be like rigged or, the issue isn't whether a network should exist. The issue then becomes the access to opportunity. And is it broad enough? Is it fair enough for talent to compete? And that's particularly a point when we talk about people with disabilities. The issue is whether the market is finding the best people or just the most connected people. And we've talked about people with disabilities and the lack of access to opportunities and, the poverty rate for people with disabilities. And that really the upward mobility is challenged there. So a healthy free market system doesn't abolish connections. It widens access to opportunities for all people. And we want to make sure that people with disabilities are part of that. And I think they can be. So this is how you strengthen competition. You strengthen competition with mobility, upward mobility, and that's how you strengthen America, by providing access to opportunities for people to be independent and self-determined, both people with and without disabilities. Although it's particularly important for people with disabilities, I would contend. So when people are capable, capable people are overlooked, the country loses. This is a tragedy. When people are screened out, that's not good. That could be discrimination. And most importantly, the people lose, the businesses lose, America loses. We don't want that. We're positive here. So when Americans with disabilities show and demonstrate the ability, the discipline, the hard work, the value, and their talent, and they're still on the sidelines, I think pretty much all Americans agree. That's not cool. We've got to provide access to opportunities. It's not just unfair. It's inefficient. It's not just frustrating. It's economically foolish for our free market. Okay. A free market is strongest when human ability can move to its highest and best use. A market is strongest when honesty yields value and when access to opportunity is available for everybody. When this occurs, merit becomes easier to recognize. So, us here, we're very much pro-America and pro-meritocracy and free market. As Americans, we want all labor markets to be better at recognizing talent wherever it exists. Disability does not disprove the American promise. Disability tests whether we are serious enough to fulfill it. So if we want a stronger America and a better economy, the way to do that is with people with disabilities leading the way, to show that there's access to opportunities, to use this tremendous, talented, untapped labor pool that right now too often is on the sidelines. So that's my feeling here at Save Visibility, the meritocracy for people with disabilities. It's the way to go. And our economy is changing right now with technology, with all the disruptions. You've heard my most recent episodes where I really believe we can start adding hundreds of thousands of people with disabilities a month to these employment opportunities. And really, it can be the next boom for America, the next big growth for America. I truly believe that. So it's David D'Arcangelo, another episode of Say Visibility. If you like that, if you like this episode, you want to hear more, please put the comments, share, like, subscribe. All that really does help us keep great content flowing for you. So again, another episode of Say Visibility. I hope you have a great day.
For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.